Well, you know, this is a fresh piece of white ash wood, and I've kept it in the basement after I cut the tree to keep it so that the wood stays moist and doesn't dry out. Okay? So I had this log for about a month, and I went to the basement last night before I came and got the logs to come up to my workshop to split out these rough billets. A piece of wood that's split out of a log, not sawed out, is called a billet. Okay, and this is white ash. And so now I'm squaring the billet with my draw knife. Before I do anything with it, I want to square it. And I'm going to make the square so when I pound it in the splints will be symmetrical. The wood has to be green when you do this, which means fresh. So that's why after I cut a tree, I either keep the wood in the pond or a stream or in the damp basement so it won't dry out, or covered with tarp or something. Okay?
Oh, wow.
As I pound it, it separates on the yearly growth rings of the tree. White ash is the only tree that when you pound it, it will separate along the annual yearly layers. It has to be done while the tree is green. That's why if this had dried out and I pounded it, it would just splinter up. And the growth rings are all different sizes. Like in this here, see, it didn't have much rain, so it wasn't very thick these couple of years. Whereas this one is very thick. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah, so see how the difference? This is thin and this is thick. So after I pound a whole billet and make my material, then I sort it out to the thickness of the grain, because I use very thin ones in like little baskets like this, you know, and then I'll use a heavy split, something like this. That's a heavier market basket. That's going to be a work basket. So I have different ways of using the material.
Wow.
So I've gone from a solid piece of wood from a tree to splints that I can use to weave a basket. Now these will dry out, and then when I go to work with them, I'll soak them in boiling water and make them flexible again. But I'll show you how I smooth them, okay? So when a tree grows, it's got the spring wood, which is the grainy rough part, and then the summer wood, which is the woody part. So what you have is spring wood and summer wood, spring wood, summer wood, spring wood, summer wood. So that's what gives you the growth rings, like on the end of a tree. Spring wood, summer wood. So you see the lines from every year. Now if I was going to weave a basket, let's say I put the material next to me and smooth it for the bottom and also for the weavers. And often I'll do that for an hour or two in the morning before I'm going to weave a basket. And then it's just smooth with my draw knife. Like that. It takes off that spring wood, the grain of the wood. It's getting nice and smooth. So now I'm going to have a thin piece of wood that's completely handmade. The machine hasn't touched it. And I have a piece of wood to weave a basket out of. And it's one growth ring of the tree. This will dry out when I go to work with it again to make it flexible, soak it in boiling water. So, and this could be either a weaver, this is a short piece, this would be a weaver on a small basket like this, or it'd be an upright in a basket like this, what I call standard. So I'll choose different, depending on the width and the weight, I'll put it in different baskets where it's most appropriate. And you can feel it's nice and smooth now.
Thank you for sharing this with us.
It's a pleasure. I like sharing it with people. It's why I'm a basket maker, to keep the old craft alive to people so they know how it was done, because I think it matters that a human being knows how to go in the woods without any machinery, taking the wood and knowing how to work it to make wood to weave, and then the rims and handles. So you end up with something purely out of wood that's completely functional and beautiful at the same time. And that's why I'm a basket maker. That's why I became a basket maker.